Hello Internet, my name is Vic. Welcome to a mental health update. It's been a week since I started my medication, the 5th of April. This week has been good and bad. I haven't had intrusive thoughts this whole week. Started off Monday kind of rough and rocky, and I tried to work out a little bit. I did like a warm-up. I was going to record some of it, but then I found out that you can't do the interval timer while you're recording. It kind of like bummed me out, and then I was like, well, I'm just not going to record, I'll just work out. I was in the garage, and then someone came home, and it just kind of threw it off. I was like discouraged, but Mondays are my T-shot days, so I took my testosterone shot. I just feel as if I need to just get in a gym. I would be more comfortable in a gym setting because I'm on T. I get misgendered a lot less, and I wouldn't feel as weird being in the men's locker room, etc. But I just can't do it in the parameters of where I am. So I've decided to put that on hold for a little bit, just until I kind of get in a better space. I kind of want to let my meds regulate. I haven't just completely thrown away the idea because I do want to get fit, and for me, I want to be at that spot for top surgery, and I really want to get the ball rolling on that. I'm ready to make another step in my transition. It's kind of monumental. But then I decided to do DoorDash that night. I made a good amount of money, and then I kept doing that for pretty much most of the week. I won't be having weekly therapy sessions with my therapist just because of the plan I chose. There are plans that offer weekly therapy. I just can't really afford that right now. I've also noticed that the first couple of days I felt kind of out of body. There were times where I was like, okay, I know it's the medication. I wasn't scared, but it was trippy. It's kind of overwhelming, I'm sure, to people who've never tripped. I've had that feeling before, but it was a lot more heightened for recreational purposes. As far as medicational purposes, it wasn't as extreme as a trip. I was just feeling kind of disconnected with my body, which is another thing that I feel with my dysphoria. I feel kind of a disconnect from a female body. So it wasn't weird in a way that I couldn't handle it. It was just kind of oh, this is different. Some of what I've been told and afraid of is true, as far as feeling like a zombie or kind of cloudy in your head. I also struggle with dysphoria. This week I went to hop in the shower, and it's hit or miss with me with dysphoria. This one day in particular, I think it was Wednesday, I went to hop in the shower. My dysphoria went all over me. I didn't like my body, I didn't want to look at my body, and I had to take a shower because I hadn't in an unforeseeable amount of time because depression. And I was in the shower and I knew I had to get clean, but I just had this attack of dysphoria. I sat there just hating my body. And because of my medication, I didn't immediately jump to, I need to self-harm or I need to sabotage my cleanliness off drugs. I didn't think that way, but I was just I really hate my body, and I'm really trying to get out of it, and I'm really trying to fix it. Speaking of which, I do have a GoFundMe for my top surgery. They do take a fee out of it. Both of us do have Cash App as well, or Venmo. It's one of my biggest goals, but I know I'm very far from it. We have about $2,000 raised, which is amazing. We need at least 10. I think the GoFundMe is set to 15. That's just because we're considering I'll have to be off work for a month. And even if we can get just 10, I could probably find a surgeon that would do it for 6 or 7,000, and we could use the extra money for getting my name changed. There are several things, but that GoFundMe is mainly for my trans-related fees and funds that I need. There's that's there. The link will be in my bio. Saturday rolled around. I experienced issues with the DoorDash app, so I started heading home, but then the app came back up, and I was like, awesome. I turned around and I started heading back into the town that I was dashing in, and I got 2 dashes, and they were both $8. That's pretty good after the app being crashed. And long story short, I'd been dashing out all night, had my girlfriend with me, and my car broke down on the way back into town, and I had to cancel those dashes and say that I had an emergency. At first, I thought it was because I ran out of gas. My gas light wasn't on. We ended up getting a ride to the gas station. And of course, the gas station only sells 1 gallon gas jugs. I got this little 1 gallon jug that I get a gallon of gas with. I take it back to my car, and I can't make this up, okay? Stay seated, right? It's 11:30-ish at night. This woman comes bursting out of the woods across from me. She comes running up to me and my girlfriend and is screaming that she needs help, rocking back and forth. I immediately know that she's on some sort of concoction of drugs. Obviously, she wasn't in a clear state of mind. So my natural instinct for those kind of people that are zonked out of their brains is to just ignore them, because 9 times out of 10, they're hallucinating. She was tripping to the point where she thought her kids were with her. My fight or flight kicked in, but I was trying to remain calm so I wouldn't escalate the situation. She claimed someone was after her. Turns out nobody was. I have a lot of trauma associated with people on drugs. It's scary when you're right there on the front lines with somebody who's really gone The person who came to give us a ride ended up giving them a ride. It was bad. I didn't get to see the whole tail end of that. My girlfriend, unfortunately, had to go through more than I did. It was just insane. Turns out me and a couple of my friends went the following day to see if we could fix it or figure out what was wrong with it. Still couldn't. It wouldn't start. The battery wasn't dead. It wasn't the starter or the alternator. So we were really trying to figure out what happened. So I ended up having to get it towed to Firestone, and they said they would look at it, and they looked at it, and they called me back the following day. So this has been an ongoing process of days. So Monday I got a call from them, and they said that they couldn't fix it, but they did see that the timing belt had snapped in half, and that's a pretty big deal, you know, for your car. So they were like, we don't feel comfortable doing that in case there was any other engine damage. They can't check and see if there's more engine damage without replacing the timing belt and resetting everything and trying to crank it. So I got it towed again to another shop, and now I'm waiting to hear back from that shop. So it's been a lot on my plate, especially within the last 3 or 4 days. I can't work right now. I don't have a vehicle. I could get my girlfriend to drive me around, or I could borrow somebody's car. And because I haven't healed from my trauma, and because I have BPD, those are things that I feel like would be a burden on somebody else, even though these people that are offering to help me are people that I know would be more than willing to be in my circle and in my corner if I need help. But the way I was brought up, the way I was raised, is you have to figure everything out for yourself. I can't do everything by myself. I've got to fix this car. But I'm medicated this time around, so instead of like freaking out, crying, losing my shit, losing my temper, I just kind of followed through with the steps that I had to take. I made the calls. I got the car towed within trying to fix it prior, but I got it towed a day of it breaking down. And then I got it towed again from the other place within a day. I feel like I stayed way more on top of things than I would have if I wasn't medicated, because if I wasn't medicated, I would have put it off and tried to forget that it was even happening. Woe is me, another thing has happened to my car. And yeah, I have had terrible luck with every single vehicle that I've owned. But life doesn't stop. The days keep going, the hours keep passing, and I keep getting older, and we all keep getting older, and that's just another day gone that I haven't earned any money. But that's the reality of life. And those are the things that I am learning to face and to confront with a level head, and not like all over the place. And I know my medication has helped me regulate so far. I will say that my anxiety medication is helping me a lot with my anxiety during the day. I have, this kind of like balanced, controlled mind. I can say that I feel 1,000% different than I felt when I made my video before this on my mental health. I feel different in this setting. I feel different in this space, but I'm sitting in the exact same spot. A completely different connection to myself than I did. So I've been taking the Lamictal every day, and this is my second week taking it, and after my second week, so next Monday, I will be upping my dose to 2 a day per my psychiatrist orders. As far as my anxiety medication, it is from the bottle that I can either take a half of one or a whole one at night. That one I've been kind of spotty with. I haven't exactly been taking that one at the same time. I haven't really been taking my Lamictal at the same time either. This week I've kind of woken up at different times. My anti-anxiety medication, it helps me sleep solid through the night without waking up. I've only woken up in the middle of the night like a few times to go pee and then come back to bed. Before I was medicated, I was waking up at like 2, 3 in the morning, and I was staying awake for like an hour because I couldn't fall back asleep. The first night that I took half of my anti-anxiety medication, I think it's because I was anticipating it, and because I knew I was taking a medication to help with my anxiety and it was going to help me sleep, that I did not sleep well. I was up and down all night, and I think it was because my body was kind of like, whoa, what is this? And I've just been taking half every night, but I haven't exactly been taking them at the same time every night. So I find that if I take my anti-anxiety med at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night, then I find that I sleep in later. But if I take it at like 8, 8:30, and then, because it doesn't make me just fall asleep, but once I get tired from just being tired and fall asleep, it keeps me asleep. Depending on what time I take my Rimaron at night is what time I'll take my Lamictal in the morning. So far it's been kind of regular. I haven't had any like super noticeable mood shifts. I will say that I am starting to feel things a little bit differently. Now this is why I wanted to upload these videos onto my XY Chronicles as opposed to Son of a King, because I really wanted to talk about the mental aspect of my mental health changes with T being a factor. Testosterone is known to alter the way that you process things and alter the way that you express emotion. Taking testosterone makes your reaction to things different. Mental processing. Another bus? No, a tractor. Tell me you live in the South without actually telling me you live in the South. I had to stop talking in my YouTube video because a tractor was driving by in my neighborhood. Anyway, So, taking testosterone alters the way you react to things. And I'm not gonna even like try and sugarcoat that. It just does. It's not a bad thing, it's just the way it is. Testosterone is more of a, okay, this happened. It's not sitting right with me. So, I'm gonna have to think about it and process it and get back to you. As far as like me prior to T, where I just had estrogen, it was more of a, what did you say? Oh, really? That's how you think. Okay. Interesting, because this is how I think. That was me prior to T. It was like a petty almost, where I instantly wanted to put that person in their place. Could I? No, because of my anxiety. I had that mentality where I was like, I needed to react right then, or nothing I said would be justified after I had processed what happened and after I thought of the best, healthiest way to react. And I'll admit that I struggled with that, and I still continue to process things quick sometimes, and I have to almost remind myself, like, wait a minute, dude, like, you can step back and think about this. Like, they don't need an immediate response. You're a person too, and your feelings and thoughts are valid, so you have an opportunity in front of you to be able to process your emotions and then get back to that person. And if you never end up getting back to that person about that thing, it's okay. If you've decided that this person is stuck in their ways about this certain thing and they're never going to see things the way that I see them, so I'm not even going to try to prove anything to them, because I don't need their acceptance to prove my worth. And that's what I've had to tell myself about my family, unfortunately. I can do those things with other things in my life. So I will say that I know that the testosterone has affected me in that way prior to me being medicated, but now me being medicated is like even more projected. Usually when I'm going through something crazy, like this past weekend showed me that when I go through a sequence of events that are like troublesome or a problem or going to put me in a financial bind that I have to worry about my future for, or my job or my livelihood, that I don't react the way that I used to. I wouldn't be able to get anything done that was productive. I needed something right now to fix it. I would stubbornly commit myself to sitting and trying to figure out what was wrong with my car instead of just biting the bullet, taking it to get taken care of by a professional, so I wouldn't be sitting there furthering my damage and furthering the problem and extending the issue that happened. So now I have a clearer way of thinking and processing those things, and I definitely saw that exhibited this weekend. And I know that I've been on these medications for a week, and they've definitely started to sink in. And I also know that I've been on testosterone for close to 2.5 years now, so that's also starting to sink in and be a part of my thought-thinking process. And I'm able to do it, and it's healthy. It's good for me. It's good for, my girlfriend. It's good for people around me. It's good for my support system. To know that I am a person and I am having these things that I'm struggling with and battling, but I'm doing things and taking the steps to get better. Also want to mention, Get Cerebral again. They are still having the springtime special where you can get, mental help for $30 for the first month and $10 of medication through the mail. I think they're still having that special, so also check out Cerebral. I will put the link to them below in the description as well. But other than that, that's been my update. So far, so good. I will be back next week with a new update. I plan on. Stay tuned for that video. It's next week or the following. I think it's the following will be my 2 year and 5 months on T. So I will also be trying to do an update video on that. But that's all I have for today. Stay safe, stay well, and I will catch you next week.